Today you're going to write the final poem in your Powerful Poetry Packet number 3. Now, if you're watching this video, it's probably because you are not at school today and you're at home. So I'm going to walk you through the process. So turn to the final poem in your packet. It's going to be on the 8th page, and it's simply going to be called Your Masterpiece. Now this final poem's going to be different because I'm going to give you a lot more control of this final poem. This poem is also going to be added to something called the Poetry Collection, which is going to be a packet of poems by my 7th grade students that I'm going to print a copy of for all of you. So you will be sharing your masterpiece poem with all of your classmates. There are a couple of guidelines for your masterpiece poem. For example, it does have to be 10 or more lines long. So the shortest it can be is 10 lines, and the longest it can be is enough to fit on one page. You are free to use parts of your previous poems, so if there was something that you used previously that you'd like to incorporate into your masterpiece, feel free. And the nice thing here is you get to choose the topic of your poem. It can be about literally anything as long as it's school appropriate. You get to choose which poetry devices you use, if any at all. So I don't tell you how many devices to use or which ones. You can use similes, metaphors, you can use personification, alliteration. You can use as much or as little as you choose. And you get to choose the number of stanzas. So if you want to put your entire poem into one big chunk, or if you'd like to break it into smaller chunks, you really have full control of this poem. The only restriction is, honestly, that it has to be at least 10 lines long. Now, for this poem, I cannot emphasize this enough. You are going to be sharing it with your classmates, so other people other than myself, will be reading it. Please start with the title. Now, you might come up with the title when you're done, or you might have a brilliant title right at the beginning, or your title might be just based off of what you're choosing to write about, but do make sure that your masterpiece poem has a title. Then I give you a lot of room in this packet for the rest of it, starting here. And if you use all of the space on the first page, there's plenty of space on the second page. Now, one thing to keep in mind, when you write the final draft of your masterpiece poem, it will need to fit on one page. So it can't be so long that it doesn't fit on a single page of paper. So at this time, I'm going to just kind of brainstorm, and I'm going to think of ideas, and once I've settled on an idea, I'm going to start writing. Now I took some time and brainstormed some random ideas, and I started a couple of ideas, and in the end I decided to write about the year 2020 in my masterpiece poem. So once I started focusing on that topic, I just started kind of going through ideas, tossing in some different devices I liked, and really I just let my creativity flow. So this ended up being my masterpiece poem. The Never-Ending Year, 2020. A blight and a fright, nothing going right. Corona, tornadoes, and snow too early. Learning at home. Is it learning at all this fall? Distance hybrid, chaos and quiet, enough to cause a riot. A riot? Yes, we had those too. Who, me? Yes, you. Wake me when it's done, because 2020 is no fun. So now you have a fun time writing your masterpiece poem. And again, just make sure you have at least 10 lines. Keep it school appropriate. And beyond that, let your inner poet fly.